Today's video sponsor is GVG Mall, where using my SKG discount code leads to a 25% off across several products, making a Windows 10 serial key only $16. After the payment, you'll receive the key in your account, and all you need to do is to introduce it in your Windows settings, and bam! You have an activated system. If you're looking to build a new computer or maybe upgrade yours, it is very possible that you may already thought some things like, for example, I am hardware savvy, but what should I buy? I'm not really into the current market nowadays. I'm not into the current market situation, and there are lots and lots of products. Which one should I buy? Which ones give the best price performance ratio, and which ones should I buy in my current budget? Well, that's why I'm making this video. Be aware that this video will be long as hell, but also you have the timestamps in the description, so if you want to just pass through and go, for example, to just the GPU, just the CPU, just the PSU, yes, because we're gonna talk about a full computer with some tips about PSUs as well, disks, NVMEs, HDDs for storage, many other things, even the case. I will even talk about the case in terms of airflow and so on, okay? So don't worry, those things will all be discussed, and if you want to know more, you can simply go to the comment section and I will answer as always. Now, in terms of pricing, I will go for Newegg, of course, for the USA prices. So for now, I have this what PC to buy in 2022, and I already have some CPUs, motherboards, RAM, GPUs, PSUs, disks, cases, and even monitors, okay? But let's start with the CPUs, okay? We have here the Intel CPUs and we have the AMD CPUs. First of all, you need to know what you have. In case you have an AMD motherboard, an AM4 motherboard, so an AM4 motherboard with a Ryzen CPU, if you have a Ryzen CPU, you can most likely upgrade your CPU without the need of buying a new motherboard, and if you already have the motherboard, then AMD is the way to go. On the lower end, if you do not have a motherboard and you are actually building a new computer, then Intel is the way to go. Now, these are really cheap ones and aren't really worth, these two aren't really worth the price. It is just throwing money away. But this one, the 12100F, the 12100F, sorry, is actually the best price performance you can get. It is. If we go for the $100 price tag, AMD has nothing, and I repeat, has nothing to beat this. At $100, the 12100F is a 4-core, 8-threaded CPU that will smash the competition's CPUs. They just don't stand a chance in the same price bracket, okay? If you still want to go cheaper, a little bit cheaper than usual, but with an excellent price performance CPU, this is it, the i5-12400F. This is actually the best price performance CPU in the mid tier. It performs really close to the 5600X in some scenarios, even faster than the 5600X, and at the same time it only costs $166, while the Ryzen 5 5600X costs $200. Okay, so this is the CPU to get, the 12400F, if you want a price performance build, and if you are actually upgrading from a really old computer, or once again, if you are building a new computer. This is the one to get for gaming and other things. 6 cores, 12 threads, the same as the 5600X. Power consumption is not bad at all. Temperatures as well, and the performance is there, okay? This is what you want. Now, if you want to go something a bit heavier, you have the 12600KF, okay? It is a really good chip, $260. It is a good chip. Now, is it worth the price? In some scenarios, yes, in some others, not really. I told you before that Intel CPUs actually ruled the low to mid tier price performance ratio, but as soon as you go from low and mid tier to mid tier and high tier, even enthusiast tier, then the AMD CPUs rule that that's space. They just rule that space. Intel CPUs can't beat them at high tier or enthusiast level, but they do beat them at low and mid tier. This one is the way to go if you want to also build a new computer with a performant chip. I would still pick this, the 12400F, without a single doubt, but if you want those extra cores for rendering, for something else, then you should get the 12600KF. But at the same time, at this pricing, you can just get the 5800X, and it will still be better in terms of multi-threading. So everything after the 12400F, I wouldn't get it. I would just go to AMD. And if you want to go, you also have the 12700, the i7, and even the i7 is just way more expensive. I have here, for example, the 12700F is just priced a bit lower than the 5900X, and the 5900X completely destroys the 12700K in all multi-threading benchmarks, and it is really close to it in terms of gaming performance. So yes, okay, they are the same price. As for the AMD CPUs, we also have several things that we can get from, but as you can see, at $100, what we have at $100 is basically the Ryzen 5 2600X at $86. I'm pretty sure it is new. I don't think it is used. Yes, it seems new, but still 86. Okay, it seems used. Yes, it is used, and even it is very expensive. It is an old CPU for $80. Of course, it has 6 cores and 12 threads against the 4 cores, 8 threads on the 12100F, but it is a new platform. You also have the 3500X, which is considerably faster than the 2600X, but only has 6 threads, so it is 6 cores, 6 threads. It does not have SMT like the 2600X. I'm just what the fuck am I saying? I'm just breaking down completely. My mind is just stuttering all the time. Anyway, as soon as we go over the $100 mark, we have at $123, but also used, I believe. So let's see something new. Used as well, used. Okay, this one is new. We have the 5500. The thing is that the Ryzen 5 5500 is not actually a Vermeer CPU, so it is not a 5000 series CPU. They call it 5500, but it shouldn't be called 5500 because it has the same architecture as the Ryzen 4000 series. So it is Cezanne. It is not Vermeer like the other CPUs. It is Cezanne, which makes no sense. Let's see if I can show you the specs. Okay, as you can see here, 6 cores, 12 threads, of course. But yeah, they don't really show you more. They should. But it is indeed a Cezanne CPU. It doesn't have the same amount of cache. It has way less cache. And this CPU will actually perform a bit slower than the Ryzen 5 3600, okay? A bit slower. And the 12100F can actually perform better than both the 5500 and the 3600 in some scenarios, and it is way cheaper. Also, we have the 2700X at 143, but also used, it seems. Used. New, we have the 3600 new at 154, and as you can see once again, for $10 more, $12 more, I believe, you have once again the 12400F that completely obliterates the 3600 in terms of performance, and even price performance, obviously, because it is way faster for just a bit more value. So yeah, it just doesn't make sense. As we go higher, we get the Ryzen 5 5600, not the X version, so the lower binned one at 174, so it can kind of counter the 12400F, but it is still a bit more expensive. And we have the 5600X, yes, we have it bulk, I believe. Yes, it is the tray version, no view details. I don't believe we have any kind of, yes, we have no cooler. But yeah, basically if it is just the thing of having no cooler, I believe that it is well priced. The 5600 here brings a cooler, but still, the 12400F is the best price. The 12400F in Europe costs like 200 euros, so in USA the 12400F is definitely the way to go. In Europe, well, you may pick the 12400F or the 5600X. It is up to you. If you want to go higher, you have the 5700X, so 8 cores, 16 threads at 259, which is basically the same price as the 12600K, and you have 8 cores and 16 threads instead of having those 6 cores and 16 threads, I believe, something like that, with the 12600K. The IPC is a bit lower on the 5700X, but overall you have it for the same price, and if you already have an AM4 motherboard, if you have a A320, B450, B550, then you can just upgrade to this CPU. It will work out of the box perfectly. Just update your BIOS, install the CPU, and you're good to go. So that's a plus. You also have these combos that you can just buy and save some money, which is a pretty interesting thing. So if you want to buy a case together with your CPU or a cooler, you can just save money by getting these bundles, which is pretty nice. Now, if you want the best gaming CPU, you just go, for now of course, you just go with a 5800X 3D. Okay, it costs you $448, but it is definitely the best CPU you can get right now for gaming, because it beats the competition in gaming, and I repeat, in gaming. It will still lose in multi-threading, but it beats the competition in gaming and consumes way less power. And it can even work, as it has been proved already, it can even work on a $50 motherboard without a single problem. It will perform really well even on a $50 motherboard. So this is the way to go if you want to get the best gaming CPU. Solely for gaming. It will still be very, very good for multi-threading, but in terms of gaming, it will be the best gaming CPU you can get. In terms of what should you pick? Now, if you go for the lower end, just get the 12100F or the 12400F, okay? $100, and in this case $166, something like that. It is the best you can get. The motherboards are more or less the same price. As for the mid-tier, the 5600X is the way to go, because you have it at $180, this in terms of gaming, of course, $180, and if you go to the 12600F, you actually need to put $60 on top of that, so around $250, sometimes more, so it isn't even working on the same place. And these, at the same price, just go to the 5800X, okay? The motherboards are also less expensive because you can get an older one. Everything past the 12400F, I see no reason to go Intel. So everything over the 12400F, go AMD definitely. Pick one of these, you will be completely fine for nowadays. If you want to go cheaper and still with a good performance, go with the 12400F. If you want to go really cheap, go with the 12100F, because AMD has no competition for this. Okay, this in terms of CPUs. Now for motherboards, I won't take much longer than I need to, because it's easy. If you want to go to motherboards, the best price performance that you can get, this in my opinion and according to several tests that I've seen online in terms of temperatures of the backplate and so on, the best motherboards you can get are from MSI. So if you are actually building an AMD computer, you can go with an MSI B450 if you want to go really cheap, because you have, as you can see here, for example, $74, $89, $79, $66, so you have really cheap MSI motherboards that will suffice for even for your 5600X or even for your 5800X. One problem though is that these motherboards do not support PCI Express 4. They are only PCI Express 3. They will support things like Smart Access Memory, but they won't support PCI Express 4, and they will have less features. And that's why I advise you to get a B550. It is a bit more expensive, but as you can see, you can get one, for example, for $139, and it is a pretty nice deal. $139, you have a completely fine motherboard for your needs. If you want a bit more RGB, a bit more features like the inbuilt backplate and so on, you can get this motherboard for $159. And you have more USBs, you have RGB, you have, let me see if I can actually get the, yes. We have the backplate included in the motherboard. Basically, it is not in the box, it is already connected to the motherboard. You have the shield, so you have more USBs, you have USB 3.2, I believe, you have USB-C. So if you want more features, you can get this one, and you now have PCI Express 4. If you go Intel, it is the same, just search for MSI B660. The AMD part is B550, and the Intel part for the 12th generation is B660. You can go for the 11th generation, but in terms of price performance, it isn't just worth it. Just go to the 12th, you are way better. As for here, B650, we also have one at $150, and we also have one at $139. This one seems very nice, and also the same applies to this one, $149. We have the Mag Bazooka. This one looks pretty cool, but it is a mini. It's mini. We say mini in Portuguese, but it is basically a small factor motherboard, but it is very, very good for $140. It won't have the third or the fourth PCI Express slot. It will just have a PCI Express 4 times and a major and secondary, oh my god, and secondary PCI Express slot, but it is more than you need. 4 slots of RAM for $150, it is not bad. And you have the B660 Pro, which also features all that you need. You have less USBs on the other hand, you don't have the shield and so on, but for more $20, I believe. Yes, 150, 159, you have this one also. Instead of the bazooka, it is the mortar, which also has 2 slots of NVMe, 2 slots of PCI Express just for your GPU, another one 4 times. It is basically this, in my opinion. Just pick from MSI. If you want to go with a mid-tier or low-tier motherboard, go with MSI. And please do not go with low-tier Gigabyte motherboards because they suck. If you want to go higher tier, you can go MSI or Asus or even ASRock because their motherboards are pretty decent. If you want to go mid-tier or low-tier, just go MSI because they have the best motherboards in those tiers, okay? Good! Now let's go to RAM. RAM is also an interesting thing because recently, and I repeat recently, we have been having some new RAM kits, some new DDR4 RAM kits, and we have them at $54, $69, $64 from Neo Force. Okay, this is kind of a white brand. This is a non-major brand, okay, let's say this. But we have some from Corsair, for example, from XPG, most known brands. Let's open these from XPG. We have RGB, obviously it's a must nowadays, nope. But we also have this. This is really important. Look, $57 is a major price cut from the usual $100 or at least $80 price tag that we have. So why the $57? This is really important. It has to do with the timings. As you can see here, timings, look at it. 16, 20, 20, 20, 14. 40, I mean. These will be the timings that will be shown here. But the point is that the timings are really different. The usual timings for the 3200 MHz CL16 are CL16, 18, 18, 18, 18, 38, and these bring 16, 20, 20, 20, 40. You can overclock them and of course have better results, and if you do overclock them, then these kits may be the option because they are really, really cheap. But well, to summarize, just get 3200 MHz CL16, 18, 18, 18, 38, or if you don't really mind about the timings and subtimings being a bit worse and the overall performance being a bit worse, not much but a bit worse, go with 32 gigabytes of the 1620 2020 40 because they will be way less expensive and you'll actually be able to get 32 gigabytes almost at the same price as the other 16. So it is a good deal. If you want a really good Samsung B die, this one is one of the best kits that you can have. If you want 16 gigabytes, but 16 gigabytes performing really well, this is what you want. $92. It is really impressive. The price here, really impressive. These kits bring Samsung B die. I have two of these kits. I actually bought them in Germany. And they are really great. Samsung B die, they overclock a lot. You can do 3200 CL14, for example. You can do 4400 MHz. You can just decrease and go to 3800 MHz for the Ryzen CPUs, for example, and just decrease the timings a lot and get lots of performance. These are the best you can get. For below $100, this is what you want, being it an Intel CPU or being it a AMD CPU, Ryzen CPU. This is what you want if you want a performant kit for under $100. Okay, this is what I do. I just buy kits. I just buy these kits because they are really good. Now after this, let's go to the GPU. Okay, GPUs we have Nvidia. For now we have Nvidia and AMD GPUs. The Intel GPUs will release soon, but I mean, from what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem that great, at least in terms of pricing. The performance isn't that good, and they should have priced them really low in order to sell, but at least I will get just one or two to test. I mean, I'll buy them with my own money, of course, but I just don't advise them for now, so don't wait for them. Go for a new AMD or Nvidia GPU. Okay, now on the lowest price, we have the GTX 1650 at $170. And for the lowest price, we have the 6400, but we also have the 6500 XT. Yes, we have the 6500 XT at $179, which for this price is a good deal. It isn't a great deal, but it is definitely a good deal in the current market situation. This card will be way faster than the 1650, even the 1650 Super, but in this case this is the normal 1560, okay, not the Super version. It will be faster than that card, quite faster, and it will cost less or at the same money. It will cost the same and it will perform way better. Okay, you can just see these videos passing right now on the screen. You can see the 25 games on the 6500 XT. You can see the overclocking tutorial for that same card. You can see these comparisons even with the 3050 and the previous cards like the RX 580 and so on. This card at 179, it is a decent deal. Definitely it is a decent deal, and Nvidia can't beat this price. And they can't beat this price because their best performing GPU right after this should be like the RX 3050, I believe. Then we have the 1660 Super at $231, which makes completely no sense. Just don't buy this. And yes, the first 3050 appears at $299. And as you can see in this video, the 3050 is indeed quite faster than the 6500 XT, but it is also costing over $100, so $120 more than the 6500 XT. At this difference, maybe you can consider the 6500 XT. This card, if this card was at $250 or $240, then the 3050 was definitely the one to get, but at $299, it is a big no. Just get the 6500 XT. But at $299, if you actually want to get the best of your money, yes, for $297, the Sapphire Pulse, you get better performance than the 3050 at $299. So $2 less and better performance. You also can watch this video of the 6500 XT versus the 3050 versus the 6600, and the 6600 is way faster in most scenarios and at least equal to the 3050. In the worst case scenarios, it is equal to the 3050, and it will be faster than the 3050 in almost all scenarios. So at $300, the 6600 is the one to get. Definitely. For $60 more, you can get the XT version, which is considerably faster than the non-XT version and will completely obliterate the 3050, obviously. So for $60 more, you have way better performance than both the 6600 and the 3050. And the 6600 was already faster than the 3050 by quite a lot in some games, and this one will be even faster for $60 more. Now, let's go to the RTX 3070, which are the next steps in terms of price. We have the cheapest 3070 at $579, $579, and as for the lowest price on the 6700 XT, we have it at $479. Now, if you don't want ray tracing, or if you want to run ray tracing on lighter titles like Doom Eternal, Call of Duty Warzone, they can run ray tracing on. You can run ray tracing on the 6700 XT easily, but if you want to put ray tracing on really heavy titles like Cyberpunk and Control, then you want to get the 3070. Any other thing apart from ray tracing, well, the 6700 XT is just the way to go. I mean, there's literally no doubts that this card is what you want in the $500 price bracket. You have it under $500, and you even have the AMD You Raise the Game bundle. You have it's like 1, 2, or 3 games. It depends. Let's just see. Okay, I need to open this, but I know that they offer you 1, 2, or 3 games. Sniper Elite 5, I believe, and some other 2 games. Forspoken, yes, I believe also. And you have it for $100 less than the 3070. So for most people, 6700 XT is a no-brainer, okay? The 6600 XT and the 3060 are on the same level. The 6600 XT is generally a bit faster than the 3060, but now in terms of pricing they are more or less the same, so just get the one you want. But if we go to a higher tier, the 6700 XT is the way to go, completely over the 3070, okay? Now let's test the 3080 and the 6800 XT. The lowest 3080 is at $779, damn, that's priced higher than I expected, and the lowest 6800 XT is at $769. These two cards are unexpectedly at the same price. I was expecting the 6800 XT to be way cheaper, but it isn't. So in this case, I would definitely, and I repeat, I would definitely get the 3080 if I wanted ray tracing once again. If I wanted more VRAM, I would just go with the 6800 XT, but if I wanted ray tracing overall, I would just pick the 3080. Overall, the 6800 XT will be faster than the 3080 by a small margin, but it will, due to smart access memory in most titles, it will be faster than the 3080 and it will have more VRAM, but in terms of ray tracing, the 3080 is better. So pick your poison. It's give it or take it. So you give with one hand, you take with another. The same for both cards. You have more VRAM and better rasterization in other, but better performance in terms of ray tracing in other. The same price, so pick your poison. Now going to higher tiers, we have the 3090 and we have the 6900 XT. Okay, and here is where the price difference just gets huge. Okay, lowest pricing for the 6900 XT, and let's go to the lowest pricing for the RTX 3090. So the lowest price is $1,500. $1,500, which is insane. And if we go to the 6900 XT, we can actually get the 6900 XT now for $800. Now this is a killer deal. I don't see why you should actually get a 6800 XT while you can get a 6900 XT for just $100 more. It's a no-brainer, just get the 6900 XT. This is a killer deal at $799, while the 3090, $1,500. Crazy. Even if we go to the 6950 XT that has been recently released, as you can see in these videos, we have it at $1,099, or at least $1,149 if you want to go to the Nitro version. So still way cheaper, way less expensive than the 3090, and overall will perform better in gaming, so it's also a no-brainer. So in the lowest tier you go for AMD cards, 6500 XT. If we go to the mid tier, you get the 6600 over the 3050, and you get either the 6600 XT or the 3060, since they are now at the same price. If we go up a tier, you go the 6700 XT over the 3070. If we go to the 6800 XT, you get both the 6800 XT or the 3080. They are at the same price. But if we go to the enthusiast level, then you go AMD with the 6900 XT or the 6950 XT, which are considerably cheaper than the 3090 and will bring you almost the same performance in terms of gaming. If you want way more VRAM for work, for maybe 3D projects and so on, maybe you can consider the 3090, but apart from that, the 6950 or the 6900 XT all the way. Now, in terms of PSUs, it is quite simple. The minimum that I advise, unless you are really strict in terms of budget, the minimum that I advise is 650 watts, 80 plus bronze. This is the minimum that I advise, because you do not chip on a PSU. A PSU can last you over 10 years and it will still perform as new. Obviously not as new, but it will perform and it will do its job even over 10 years after you buy it, okay? So the PSU is what supplies power to your build. So if the PSU is kind of a bomb waiting to explode, if it does not do its job properly, it may fry your other components like the GPU, like the motherboard and so on, most likely the motherboard. That's why you do not chip out on a PSU, okay? It will last long and it needs to do its job properly. So thermal tank, it is not the best, of course, but it is decent. Seasonic is usually a brand that you can rely on. This PSU is not one of their best, but it is pretty decent. I have it on at least 2 of my computers and it does its job pretty well. $70, okay? You have, for example, the... let's see if I can get actually, yes, Corsair. Corsair has one of the best PSUs that you can get in terms of price performance. Not all, but some models are really good in terms of price performance. For example, you have this one also, 80 plus bronze, sorry, $70 as well, 650 watts. If you want to go to something better, I believe you need at least 750 watts, at least, and you go for the gold ones. Gold. They will be way more expensive, but they will be worth it over time. And if you kind of want to upgrade all your components after, the PSU will stay the same. You won't need to change the PSU because you already got a really good PSU. I bought this PSU some like 2 years ago, 750 watts, the Corsair Ram 750X, I believe, yes. And it is really good, full modular and so on. And the PSU that I have on my testing build, I have it since 2012 and it is still working perfectly. So yes, you can go for this. If you want something good for the future, get at least 750 watts gold from a well-known brand, okay? If you go for a lower end, then 650 watts bronze will be more than enough. Well, I really wanted to give you more info, more data, but my camera's battery is running off. This has been a really long recording, like over 1 hour. Then editing, maybe I'll shorten it to like 40-45 minutes, I hope. But well, I will skip the discs where you can see, just pick an NVMe 500 gigabytes for the main system with Windows and some applications. If you have more money, get an NVMe of 2 terabytes or at least 1 terabyte for games. And if you want storage, get at least an HDD of 2 terabytes for storage, because they are pretty cheap. For $60 you can get 2 terabytes and it is storage. So you don't really need a fast disk, okay? In terms of the monitors, I will completely skip them. You can watch this if you want. This is in order. IPS panels then. Firstly, 1080p 75Hz, then 1080p 144Hz, 1440p 144Hz, 1440p ultra-wide 144Hz, and 4K 60 or 4K 60/120Hz. This is the order that I would choose from lowest end to the highest end. In terms of the cases, I will just say this: do not get full tempered glass cases. They will just really heat up your system. They won't have proper airflow. They will just make your CPU and your GPU fry. So get mesh cases. Thankfully, mesh cases are coming back to the trend, to be trending again. Tempered glass panels were trending like during like 2 to 5 years, and they just suck. The amount of centimeters in between the glass and the fans just wouldn't let the fans actually take air to push in the case, and that would actually lead to restricted airflow. That would lead to higher temperatures. Okay, so if you can, buy a mesh panel case. You can still have the side panel with tempered glass for you to be able to look into your build, of course, but at least the top and front should be mesh in order to have proper airflow. 3 120mm fans in the front and 2 120mm in the top, plus 120mm on the back. So we have almost neutral airflow. If you want positive, just get 1 in the top, 1 in the back, and 3 in the front, and you have positive airflow. But well, I'm just really tired, and since English is not my main language, obviously, I won't be able to give you much more info and data, because my brain is already going away to Portuguese instead of English language. But you can also see this video in terms of how to fix high temperatures, and you see that tempered glass panels are just really bad, if not really well implemented. And even when well implemented, mesh panels will rule over the tempered glass ones. So yeah. So guys, that's all for today's video. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you're watching this part after this long ass video, man, you're the champion. You're the absolute unit. Thanks a lot for watching once again, and see you in the next video. Also, any kind of doubts that you have, just go to the comment section. I'll try to answer you as fast as possible, and I will also solve some doubts in terms of which CPU to get, which GPU to get. I can help you with that. See you in the next video.